So this is how our page looks like right now. We have an image up here, and then we have the text. But say you really don't like that. Say you want to have your text or the title of your web page embedded or on top of this image so that it's fixed. And say you want it to be something more creative than just some text and an image underneath. I would suggest you switch over to a graphics program that will allow you to have power over this, control over this. You can't do this directly in WordPress. There are some free or online tools that you can use. One of them is called banner.photor.com. It's not that great. It's okay. You could use it for a very basic banner, but it's fine. And you don't really need any instruction on this. You could just follow. It's really, really basic, but it's not very powerful, obviously. So instead, what I thought I would do is guide you through how I would do it using a program called Inkscape, which is coincidentally also a free program. So the first thing you'd want to do, obviously, is go download it. So you just head on over to inkscape.org. and you download it. It's a very, very powerful program, and it is free, so it's great. There are lots of tutorials out there on how to use it, and I use it all the time for all kinds of things. So I strongly suggest you check it out. You don't have to have a very advanced knowledge of how to use it to do a banner. So there are tons of features on this program that I have never used, and that's fine. You only use what you need. So first thing we'll do is we'll go back to WordPress, and we're going to take some measurements. We might want to keep track of the name of this font, although this is a WordPress font. So I don't have this font on my computer. I could probably dig around the internet and find it. I'm not particularly in love with it anyway, so I don't care. So that could be one thing you want to look at. But what we're really interested in is the size of this image. So it says here that with this theme, they recommend an 11 by 60 width by 250 pixels high. So that number you'd want to write down, although you can always crop it. But I would suggest you design it with the right size in mind rather than going in and then cropping and having to change the look. So we'll keep that in mind. And the next thing we'll do is, you should do is download Inkscape. I already have it, so I'm going to go and open it. And in fact, I already have it open. So when you open it, you'll see this page template. You don't need to worry about that. You can work completely ignoring this, but you can zoom in and out using plus and minus. I'm not going to go into the details of this software. You really don't need to know that much. So I'm going to keep it simple because this would be a whole nother series. So we'll leave it at that. You might not see these in yours. Don't worry about that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import the image. You don't have to do this, but my goal right now is to take the same banner, like that fractal image, and put some text on it, which is kind of the point of it. So I'm going to go to import, file import, and I'm going to look for my fractal image. I'm going to click open. Right, so there it is. Okay, so what we'll need to do obviously is crop this image. So let's go ahead and create our banner size, and then we'll use it to crop the image. So we'll go to the rectangle tool, which is this thing that looks like a square. And quite simply, we'll click and drag to create a rectangle. It's that simple. All right, now your rectangle might be a different color, so I'm going to change mine to black real quick. All you have to do is press one of these colors. You can access additional colors, obviously, but these are kind of basic. Right, so the size is whatever happened to be when I drag, and you can resize this, using the basic kind of arrows. Right, now if you deselect the image and you reselect it, you'll see that the selection tool is activated. So this is no longer the rectangle tool, it's the selection tool. So you're basically you're able to manipulate the image or the shape. But what we're interested in, rather than kind of hoping we get the right size, is we can go here and specify the exact width and height. So the width we said was 250. So we'll double click on this. Now this unit make sure that it's on px, which is pixel. It might be in millimeters or whatever else. It could be inches. It could be all kinds of things. So we'll do 250. Oops. So 250, press enter, zoom in. Something happened to my image. It disappeared. Did I delete it by accident? Yeah, I did. Okay, here it is. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so 250 by 1160. That doesn't sound right. Because, oh yes, I mixed up the height. So it's actually 250 here and 1160 here. There we go. Okay, so you'll notice that the banner is actually larger than our image. So we're going to want to extend the size of the image. And we could do this again from here. We can just say, now we don't want the image to get distorted. So what we can do is we can press the lock and then we'll change the width to 1160. We can even go a bit more if we want to. So now we know that the width matches. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and write 1200 just so I have a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, now we have two things. We have an image and we have our banner. So the goal now is to kind of look for a spot that you think would be good to crop. So we'll leave it, let's say choose this bit right here. And then what we'll do is we'll select both the image and the banner. And this is where it's strange. You go to Object, Clip, Set. Done. Seems weird, but that's how you do it. Okay? All right, excellent. So now we have a cropped image. The next that we want to do is add some text. So we'll go to the text tool. Those are the only two tools we're going to use. So don't worry about all of this stuff. So we click on the text tool and let's see what happens. Oh, I have the Maestro font selected. It's not going to work. It's a Finale font. So let's take Times New Roman or something very basic. And I'm going to write experimental music services. Okay, I'm going to use the selection tool again, and I'm going to, for a dark image like this, I would probably use a white text so you can see it well. And you can do the same sorts of things. You can stretch, the text. You can make it larger from here, or you can specify, if you go to the text tool, you can specify the size over here. And then, of course, you could do much more than that. You can, if you click, this is true of all the kind of selection boxes. If you click on something, like let's say I click on the image, I get these arrows where I can resize, both the width and the height, just the width, just the height. But if I click on the image again, I get these kind of curvy arrows. And it's true of this as well. And what that allows me to do is actually tilt the image. So this would be a classic thing that you would never be able to do on something like WordPress. It can be a little cheesy to have a sideways text, but maybe you like it. I don't know. So this is the part where I would go and kind of experiment with different fonts, and you don't get a preview, but you get a sense of what they look like here. Okay, so I'm just going to pick that one. And I'm actually going to change this to all caps. Hang on a second. Let's say we can make it much bigger, maybe so that it almost kind of fits the, see if I can actually stretch it. Ooh, yeah, I can. Cool. All right, so let's say this is what I want. Okay. Right. The only other thing I'm going to show you is how to center things, how to align them properly, because that's something that's very, very useful. So I'm going to then leave it at that. So I'm going to select both of these. And then I'm going to go to, for some reason, it's because I'm using two screens, there's like a whole bunch of the menu that's moved around. But so look for the tool that should be appearing up above. That's called Align and Distribute. And once you find it, open it up. And there it is. So it's Align and Distribute. Okay, right. Anyway, everything got moved around. It's fine. So this is pretty self-explanatory. So what I want you to pay attention to is this little menu. It says selection area, relative to. So what it's saying is this. Say I want to center the text. It'll say, well, what do you want to center it to? Relative to the page, relative to the first object you selected. So if I then go back and select first the image, then, oh, by the way, I'm pressing Shift to hold the selection. First the image, then the text. And I say, center the second one based on the first one selected. Now, when I click on center, it aligns it. It was very subtle, but I think you saw that. I can also align it to the left, to the right, to the top, to the bottom, and this is extremely helpful when you're doing very minute changes. Sometimes it's very hard to tell if you're truly in the center of something. So I'm going to do that here, and I'm going to do center based on the width, and center in the middle of the so this way, so vertically. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this whole thing again, and just so I don't mess anything up, I'm going to lock the group, which also has moved around. Oh, here it is, right here. This button right here. So when you press this button, and again, it might be up here, that's where it usually is, you are combining however many objects you've selected into one. So now I can no longer just select the text, but this is, you can unlock objects. You can, let's say you have 20 all attached to one, you can always, and you realize you want to move one of them, you can always press this, and it'll allow you to then have, again, possibility of selecting the individual components. So I'm going to do this again. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Document Preferences, and I'm going to say Resize Page to Content. And it says Resize Page, press on Resize Page to Drawing or Selection. And then what you'll see is that page kind of big template disappears, and that actually is still there, but it's now the exact same size as your banner. So that means when you save your image, you won't have all this empty space around. So that's pretty much it. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to save this as a PNG, which we know will work because this image, that wasn't there, sorry. It's not there, but that image was a PNG file. Yes, so then we know that this will work. So we're going to change the name to my banner. All right, okay. And that's pretty much it. All right, back to WordPress. I now will do two things. First thing is I will add a new image, and I will go to Upload Files, select File, and Desktop, My Banner, choose, and then once it's done, we'll do select and crop. We're actually going to leave it as is. We shouldn't have to crop it, because we have the right size. So let's see if it's true. So evidently the previous one we had was a bit on the smaller side. So this is the recommended. This is what works best. But we could, if we hate this, if we want to crop it a little, we still can directly in WordPress. Now, of course, this makes this redundant. So what we'll do is we'll go back here, and we will go to Site Identity, and we'll uncheck this box. This says Display Site Title. And now all we have is this. So this, the advantage of this is that when you squeeze this page, Squeeze is not the right, that's definitely the technical term. But when you reduce the size, the image will remain proportional. Whereas before our text was shifting around. We had, I can show you, we've seen this before, where if I reduce this, it'll be kind of like in a cell phone. It'll just change. I don't like that very much because I don't know, I think it's nice, especially if you have some sort of an image or a logo for your whatever. If you have a picture of yourself with your name or something like that, you prefer to keep it that way. This is a lot better. And again, you don't really need to have, you don't need to know a lot. And if you get confused, and I hope I didn't confuse you too much by having my menus kind of all messed up in Inkscape. So if you do have questions, please don't hesitate to call me or come by my office or email me and whatever. I'll be happy to sit with you. And if you want to do something more elaborate, I can help you. I mean, I'm no graphics designer, but I've used Inkscape long enough that I can, solve some problems. Excellent. So that's about it.